Hey, what's up, fellow traders? I hope you guys had a great day today. It's a little bit better day today in terms of range, but still very choppy at times and easy to get chopped out. Um, following your process. But if you look at the daily chart, we kind of chopped our way through a lot of the tension here with the daily pivots. We still have one more to get to that, this 4081. I thought we might be able to get it. But I'm looking at this bouncing and continuing to make a move. Hopefully, the price action smooths out going into Friday, and we can have a pretty good day. I'm looking for this to continue to push up and attack the all-time highs here. But it's going to have to get through the 20 tomorrow. And it's going to have to get through this 41.7150 daily pivot. So if it can get through that, we're on our way. If it can't, then it's not going to happen for us. But that kind of leads into what I want to talk to you about today. This is my formula for success, so to speak. Hypothesis plus analysis equals profits. And if you remember learning about the scientific method, back in school, I think we were first introduced to it in middle school. Now they may be getting it in elementary. But the scientific method is a systematic process for learning based on observing, observation, and then experimentation. Okay, and these are the steps, but we don't always use all of the steps. So we may cut out one step here or there, but basically we're using the scientific method. Now we're making an observation, we're forming a testable hypothesis, we're making a prediction, and then we test the hypothesis with an experiment. We analyze the data, then draw a conclusion. Okay, if you think about this, think back to when you started learning how to trade. When you first started learning how to trade. Okay, what did you do? You started looking at the chart. You're observing the chart because you have no idea what you're looking at. You're trying to figure it out. But as the natural or our natural instincts has us looking for patterns. That's just inherited thing that we have as humans. So we're starting to look for patterns as we observe the market. And during that time, we'll come up with some theories as to, okay, if this happens, the market is going to go here. Or if this happens, the market's likely going to go there. So we start from our hypothesis, we make a prediction, and then we test it by trading it in the market. Some people back test, but either way, you're trading it in a market, whether it be a market that's past or whether it's a current market. But we're testing it, and that's our experiment. Then we analyze the trade after the fact, and we draw a conclusion as to whether, hey, does this work? Does this make sense? We go through that process. So, and the beautiful thing about this is that it involves you being able to objectively investigate what's happening in your trades. And you can adapt and revisit any of the conclusions that you've had. Because 9 times out of 10, they're going to lead to more questions. And that's how we grow. And I know a lot of people haven't really thought about trading this way. But if you go back and think about it, and think about how you learned, that's 100% the process that you learned. Now, once we get into the we've learned how to trade. We're not going to go through all those steps anymore. Okay, we're going to be able to form our hypothesis based on our chart analysis, what we're seeing as far as the price action and everything we analyze on the chart. We make a hypothesis as to which direction the market's going to go based on everything and our experience and all of that. And we look for that to turn into our profits. And so basically, that's the winning formula that I have. I form my hypothesis based on my analysis of the chart and the price action. And, we use other things and we talk about them as we're working through it. But at that point, you're somewhat using what I covered yesterday. We're in the nonfiction stage, moving into the renaissance stage. When, as we start taking these trades and we're in the profits, we start looking and questioning things at a deeper level. And we're able to, it's a rebirth or relearning of what we've learned in the past. On our way to hitting that impact stage. If you haven't seen that video, go back and watch the video from yesterday, because it's going to talk about, those stages. But if you want to see what the day looked like, and I'm going to show you what this day looked like for us. Okay, so we're going to go back to last night. And here is the opening range right here. And you can see we kind of tested off of that. We made a run up, but look how choppy this was. Very, very choppy. Then we pulled back under and we held this for a while. And this probably fooled a lot of people into thinking that we're going to bounce off of this. But guess what it did? It chopped up. It came back. It didn't make a new low, but it fell back within that 5-minute opening range. And so the only clean trade that I got last night was this trade here. For me, I went ahead and got in once we got over the 50-day. I almost bought it off of this, which it would have worked, but I can't buy into resistance like this. So I was able to buy here around 39.45. Now here, around 39.61ish or whatever, this was a perfect place to take profit. And we took profit here. Got some profit on this candle when it popped up, but then ended up having to take the rest of it off. Because, I'm sorry. I didn't have any more left. I accidentally, instead of putting one contract here and then one back up toward this daily pivot here, and these are two daily levels that we saw on the daily chart. I accidentally took it all off, and it turned out to be the right thing. So we pulled back again, and there was no way. I think we tried to trade in here, but you could see it was not conducive to trading at the moment. So, and I had a session until 4 o'clock this morning, from 1 to 4, which is not uncommon because I'm trading. This is when I like to trade. So me having, a shadow mentoring session during this time is perfect. But the price action that kind of reared its ugly head was pretty bad, and we kind of stayed out of it. But what we were looking at is shoot, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry about that. Not what I wanted to do. Not what I wanted to do. Hold on. I'll get it back right. Rectangle. All right. I was trying to draw this channel here like I always do. So, this is the channel that I was looking at. And it was ironic that the whole time I was in that 1 to 4 session, we did not really get any trades. I think we tried to take this trade here and just got a base hit off of it. But I did get this trade because I was having trouble falling asleep. Normally I'm asleep and I'm gonna wake up around 8 o'clock. But we broke out of the channel here, got a nice trade up to this daily pivot, and this was, I got in, took 3 off here and took the other 2 off here, and we were done. And so I didn't get back up till like 9 o'clock this morning. And you could see from the opening range, I think this is the 5-minute opening range high right here. I think this is what it was. But whatever the case was, this was a really nice trade here that we took, right up through here. And, we got a pullback, but then look at what happened the rest of the day. Not really much of anything. Just chopped up mess. And it finally got over here, but the volatility and the volume was so bad, it just wasn't worth trading. So, this day was pretty tough. And, one of the major things that we worked on in, all 3 of my mentor sessions was being able to analyze the chart so that you could determine whether your trade's still working or not. Making sure that you take a trade off of support or resistance and that you're close enough to allow it to retest that. Because oftentimes that's what happens. And not getting spooked out and letting the trade work. Even if it's only a base hit, which is what we got a lot of, with the exception of the big moves that we got. But it's just a matter of analyzing, and you're able to figure out where everything is going. All right, but that was our day. But I do want to share this. If any of you guys are having trouble passing your eval, or you're having trouble to reach profit to where you can take profit in your profit paying accounts, consider joining this or taking advantage of this shadow mentoring program and spend several days in a row so that we can go through and I can get you from beginning to end. It works beautiful. I got one spot that's open for next week. I didn't get to do it this week because I had all of my doctor's appointments and I didn't want to start and stop and get all into that. But next week is an open week. 2 of the spots are already filled. If there's somebody that really wants to get in this, you could see how well it affects your trading in 1 week. Well, really, you can see how it affects it in a couple of days. But, and if it doesn't work out for you, if I can't get you to where you want to be, no hard feelings. You get your money back and you can go try something else. But I am 100% confident that this mentoring will get you to where you want to be. It is all about me supporting you in practice and not just theory. Remember the scientific method, how, we have these theories, but we have to put them into practice. And we just can't theorize without actually doing the work. And that's where that comes from. All right, so hit me up. tradingperformancespecialist.com, or you can email me at tradingperformancespecialist.com, or you can just send me a message here and say, hey, I want to talk about it. And I'll be happy to do it. This brings me almost as much joy as winning trades. But that's going to wrap it up for me today. I doubt if I'll be in tomorrow. I think I'm going to be on the road after lunch. So probably won't hear from me until Monday. But guys, if you are struggling, hit me up. I can turn you around. No gimmicks, no BS. Just, we work, up to 3 hours a day in the live market. Right there together, one-on-one. Can't beat it. But you guys have a great rest of the evening, and I'll catch up with you later.